News 46 is brought to you in part by
CD2 Special Election Candidate Debate hosted by Trunk and Western Representation 3-day, 3-city event. Thursday, June 23rd at 6:30 p.m. at the Pahrump Nugget, airing live on KPVM 46.1. Moderated by Karen Jackson of K9 Radio. Friday, June 24th at 7 p.m. at the Elko Senior Center, and Saturday, June 25th at 6:30 p.m. at the John Oscawaga Nugget, Sparks, Nevada. Submit your questions for candidates today. More information online at trunkonline.com. Paid for by Trunk and Western Representation.
The name of my film is In Silence. The story is based on the confrontation of a son to his father after his sister has committed suicide, and he discovers in her poetry that she was sexually abused by him. And it's how he deals with it.
And this is in the drama category?
Yes, it's in the drama category. It's screened last night.
And how long is this?
It runs 13 minutes.
Tell me about how it's doing right now at the film festivals.
This is the third festival that we screened in. The next one up is July 28th at Manhattan Film Festival. We're going to New York, which is very exciting because that'll be a much bigger audience, I really hope. This was a nice audience. We've had a very good time. Green Bay Film Festival is where it premiered. We had a really good response because the film isn't just about, we do a Q&A, and most Q&As are about the filmmaking process and the story and all that stuff. Mine is more about raising the awareness that this problem touches more people than people want to admit. That's why it's called In Silence, actually the name of the poem that's in the middle of the film, that it's about don't keep it silent, because that's what happened to the girl in the film. She kept it silent, ended up killing herself, instead of talking about it. We actually closed the movie with a PSA from RAINN, the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network, which is doing a whole new campaign to raise awareness, and it talks about little kids saying, I can say no. So it's kind of a just say no thing. So the Q&As are usually much more about that, which are sometimes difficult for me to go through, because it is based on my sister came and told me this when I was 29 years old.
Oh, wow. So you actually went through this?
Yes. It was but I had a different, of course, I had to figure out how do I deal with this issue? How do I confront my father? What are the relationship changes? But by moving it to a young man with only one sister and he loses her, raises the stakes. As opposed to what I had living 29 years old. I'm living in Los Angeles already. I only see everybody once a year. So I had to raise the stakes to really make the story stronger. But it is the idea of what do you do with this information, because it's the same path I had to take.
I have to ask you, how's your sister doing now?
Oh, she's doing fine. Well, as fine as she can. It still affects her. And that's the problem with this type of abuse is, I believe, and I sometimes say this like I don't put I believe in front of it and people think it's truth. Because it happens at too young an age, they don't even know what's really happening. They don't understand and then they get old enough to understand, but they're broken, and you can't patch over that. So almost everybody I've met or heard these stories, and people keep them. 3 different people came up to me last night to tell me that they have been touched by it. So, and that's the thing, it's to get people to talk about it and say you have to talk about it. Don't hide it. Expose the abusers. Talk about it. Try to prevent it from happening again, because my father also was abused.
So what'd your sister think about this film?
Well, when she finally watched it, she said it punched her in the gut. But she was very happy because she feels it's a gift to her. And in fact, she inspired it, and that's why I say it was inspired by this, is because she wanted to talk about it finally. She held it in, trying to keep this beautiful picture of what our happy family was, and said, no, this is her harming me, and came out. And she talks to everybody anytime, her 2 children, and that's what finally got it. She has a son and a daughter. Yeah. And I went, oh, there's my model. Yeah. And so they talk about it, and it's the idea that keeping it bottled up doesn't help anybody. Yeah. It just hurts. Yeah. So talking about it, as painful as it can be, it's more cathartic. It's a way to release it and to get it out there. So she's very happy about it. And in fact, she'll be getting a call later today because I have to tell her about the Q&A last night, because it was a phenomenal Q&A, because people were really engaged in conversation, and that's the point of the film. Yeah. Engage people in this conversation that is really hard to do. It's very quiet. If you were in the audience, nobody clapped at the end of the movie. It's kind of, we just sit here.
It's a message that is so important, but you can see how much it affects everybody. What happened to your sister affects you, affects people in the audience, because you in turn went out there and sent a message to help other people. It's a wonderful message to people. What other films have you done in the past?
Well, I actually went to USC Film School, so I did a lot of short films there. None of which have seen the light of day, because you don't do that. I did do a short film called Poker Face some years ago, which I wasn't completely pleased with the final project. So somebody talked me, my editor talked me into entering the Sundance. That was the only one I ever entered. I went, no. But I did. And actually I'm thinking it would be relevant today because it's...
Lady Gaga wants to get a hold of it.
No, what it is, because the story was a guy who couldn't get work in a small town, and his life was just spiraling downward because of the economy. And at that time, it wasn't this economy. And he does something really horrific. So
how can people find out about this film and your previous films? Do you have a website?
I don't currently, but there will. I have a new company called Libra Lens. That's Libra as in Libra, Lens, Lens. And soon there will be a website, so it'll either be .com, .net, or something. So they can Google Libra Lens, and trust me, if they Google Libra Lens right now, there's not really anything out there. So when they do, and it's up, they will find it. And there will be connections to this film. I have an upcoming documentary on my uncle, who's a really great artist. And any theatricals, I also do theater in Los Angeles area, so connect them with that.
You're originally from Chicago and live in Burbank now, right?
Yes, yeah, outside of Chicago, a little place called Romeoville, which should have been told me where my path was going.